Hey guys, how's it going and welcome back. So in today's video we are going to compare the Taylor 114 CE, so cutaway, versus the Martin DRS1. Okay, I've had both guitars for a while now, and I will say this, I'm still running the stock strings on the Taylor 114 CE. I have put on a set of Elixir Nano Web, same gauge, 12 to 53. In this case, they're the 80-20 bronze on the Martin DRS1. These are the phosphorus bronze Nano Web Elixirs. Both are coated strings. And the strings on the Martin, they've been on there for, better than a month, I guess. So they've been on there for a bit. And so we're going to compare. Now, if you go back in my videos, you'll hear the DRS1. I believe I had D'Addario strings on it. And then, of course, I've also upgraded the Martin with a set of Tusk bridge pins as well. So there's definitely a sound difference too, even with those pins. But so I'm going to give you a little comparison, because both of them, as far as body thicknesses go, they're pretty close to each other. And I've got a semi-arch back on this guitar. And we'll talk about the Martin in a few minutes when we try it out. And of course I do have Tusk pins on the Taylor now as well, which is kind of nice. I really love the sound difference over plastic. Okay, so let's grab the Martin. Now I'm recording this just on my Sony camcorder, just to give you an idea of my room acoustics. Also, this way there's no processing of audio. And of course, it wouldn't be a fair comparison for pickups because they don't have the same pickup anyway. So that would be something I'm not even going to be concerned with, because all pickups are different. But it's the acoustic part of the thing, because mostly when you're playing even an acoustic electric guitar, you're playing it more acoustically usually than plugged in, depending on your situation, of course. But I play kind of equally on both for the most part, plugged in and not plugged in, but you know, depends what I'm doing. So anyways, here's Martin. Same gauge of pick though. Actually, let's use the same pick, because as picks wear, they change. So, same pick. So the string difference, the only string difference is the fact that these are the 80-20 bronze Elixir Nano Web coateds, and the ones on the Taylor are the phosphorus Elixir Nano Web coateds. Both the same gauge though, 1253s. Both have the same Tusk bridge pins. But of course there's other differences, you know, nut material, saddle material, little bits on the bodies, of course. This is a little bit thicker actually than the Taylor. And of course, no cutaway on this one. Okay, so let's try some finger picking. So strumming with hand, finger picking, and a pick, those are your three main differences, using very similar chord patterns. Okay, I find that finger picking on the Martin is actually a lot nicer to do because it's a slightly wider string space. So if I had the choice between the two of them, I would take the Martin for finger picking any day. The Taylor works equally as well to a certain point. The strings are a little closer, but I find that the string spacing is so much nicer here. And it is a little bit wider neck as part of that result of being wider string spacing. But they're both very comfortable necks. You know, I don't have, you know, jumbo hands, but I don't have small hands either. So, you know, I can get my hand around the neck really easy, and they are both very slim necks too. Otherwise, so it's just a little bit of a width difference in string spacing. I love the sound of the strings on the Martin. I mean, just it's amazing sound. You know, I still got that depth. Let's do that on the Taylor. Still got good bass, a little crispier. Projects itself with a little bit more volume. Now, I love Elixir Nano Web strings for a number of reasons. They last a long time. They keep their chime for a long time, you know, so they always have that kind of brand new string feel. I used to really not like a brand new string sound because I always found them very, very tinny. But the Elixir Nano Webs aren't quite as tinny as a non-coated string like the D'Addarios that I've been using for the last few years. Martin strings. I used to use Martin light gauge 1254s. Now they have some other thing for light gauge now, but mine was 1254 Martins, and I used to swear by those strings for decades. You know, I wouldn't use anything but Martin strings. They sounded the best. There was nothing better. Blah blah blah. Right? Until I tried out D'Addarios, and then of course when I got my first Taylor 314, I fell in love. You know, and I was kind of really disappointed that I had to give up that guitar because I couldn't keep up with the payments. And I didn't want to buy another Taylor again until I could actually know that I could afford the payments. And I kept going back to the 314, and it's actually still hanging up in the store, and I'm kind of like, I kept going back to it. Then they put it on sale, and I'm like, I can do it, but then I tried out a 114, and it's like so much nicer than the 314 for almost half the amount of money, because this was like, I think it was about $1,200 or $1,300, you know, and so much nicer, plays even so much nicer, much lower action, much nicer feeling neck too, not full of gloss, which makes a difference, right? These are like a satin finish on these guitars, you know, and the walnut mixed with the spruce is just an amazing tone, you know, and I like the semi-arch back on this thing too. It's just the slightest of an arch, you know, it's not overbearing or anything. Coated strings, it makes it so much faster to play, and you don't get that overbearing scratchy sound when you're playing. Like, you really almost can't hear it, right? You know? You know, so when you go back to the Martin here. Now if you look at the Martin too, it's got just a very, very slightness in here of an arch. Very ever so slight. Very much less than even the Taylor. Like, just, it's almost non-existent, you know, but it's just a slightness, and it's kind of like, that's kind of nice. Alright, so let's hear the Martin is such a warm sound too, and it's not as brilliant, but that is a lot to do with the strings being an 80-20 versus a phosphorus, you know, and of course the body, right? The body's different, the wood's different. This entire guitar has a full solid body to it, you know. It's not laminated paneling anywhere, and it's all sapelli, aka mahogany, and it's just nice. Right, so if you're looking for a deep, well-rounded tone, very well balanced, no overpowering mids or trebles, take a look at a DRS1. The DRS2 will be a totally different animal though, because it has a spruce top, which spruce top would be a little more on the tinnier side in comparison to sapelli, or mahogany as it's called, because sapelli is part of the mahogany family, right? Of course, body size does make a difference too in tone, right? But I will say this, I will be continuing from this day forth to always use Elixir nanowebs on these two acoustics. I actually been changing a lot about my studio in the last while with the amount of guitars I have and so on, and filtering through and refining things to just what I really need and want and will play. It's kind of like different categories that must meet. So instead of having a gazillion guitars everywhere like I have had, I'm actually down to 2 acoustics, these two, and for left-handed, and I still have my one right-handed Cort in case of emergency hurting this hand, that I can still play right-handed. But you know, I've got my wife's guitar in here now. I've got, you know, my baritone uke, her uke's hanging in here. So as far as my guitars go that are actually mine, I've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I got like, what, 8? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I got 8. I'm still counting the baritone uke as a guitar, so call it 7.5 then. But you know, I would say, both guitars are awesome. Both well worth the money. I mean, the Martin was like $1,000, a little over $1,000. I think it was like $1,100 or something. So there's only about $100 difference in price from the Taylor. But I got to tell you, if you compare a Taylor 114 to a 314, I'm probably betting there's about a 95% chance you're going to be walking out of that music store with a 114. It's just an amazing playing and sounding guitar for Taylor. They actually put this guitar up against a 414 on YouTube. So if you check out that video on YouTube, and you can hear the difference. And I got to tell you, for a guitar that costs almost 3 times the amount, the 414, it doesn't even come close to me, for my taste, of being any good. I mean, I wouldn't spend that kind of money on the 414 myself, even after hearing the 114, right? So when I got the 114 here, I was like, wow. And I only got a chance to play on a right-handed regular 114, so non-cutaway at the music store, and I thought, can you get this in a cutaway? Yeah. You get the new walnut version? Yep. Okay, well, get it. I'm sold. I want it, right? So when it came in, and there is a difference between playing left and right-handed. Let me tell you, there's a huge difference. And tonally, there's a difference too. But I didn't mind that, because I knew that in a left-handed version, it was going to definitely be there, for what I wanted for the tone and the end result, And I'm really happy with this guitar. I play this one actually more so than my Martin, but I still play them both because they each have a purpose, especially if I want a more calmer tone and more thud, then I go after my Martin. When I want something a little bit more brilliant, a little more, higher pitched balancing, we'll say, then of course there's the Taylor, right? And if I want that closer string spacing, of course Taylor, right? The Martin's a little wider. Taylor is really cutting edge stuff. They haven't been around near half as long as Martin, and Martin has amazing instruments even in their higher end stuff. And I've owned, in the past, I owned a Martin 12 string from the 70s, and yeah, cha-ching baby. And it's a really nice guitar. I wouldn't mind a 12 string again, but it won't be a Martin. It'll be something cheaper, just because I don't play 12 string that much, but I'd like to do some recording of some songs with 12 string. Even for the finger picking, it's pretty good on this guitar for finger picking. Once you get used to the spacing difference between it and a Martin, or it and an actual classical guitar, which is actually a lot wider neck in nylon string classical than it is in steel string, once you get used to it, it's great, But I won't say that one is actually better than the other. They each have their purpose, but I like them both for certain jobs, and that's the big thing. My other Martin, I actually had gotten rid of that other Martin, which helped me get my wife her baritone uke, because I really wasn't playing that Martin anyways, and when I started listening to the sound of that Martin against my DRS1 and this, I kind of thought, well, do I really need 3 acoustics? And I started listening to it for the sound, right? And I was sitting there kind of like this, just pondering away, and I thought, okay. And I tried it again and kept comparing, tried it again. It's like, I still like the guitar. And it's a thin body cutaway too. But I found myself also more going after this one or the DRS1 when it came to playing stuff, It just, these two particular guitars, to me, they're amazing, And it is, in the end, it's all about personal preference of, what kind of tone you're after. But I will say this for the record, that I don't care how expensive your guitar is, It could be made out of any kind of exotic wood, non-exotic wood, doesn't matter. The end thing is when you change to a different gauge of strings or a different type, even in the same brand or a different brand, you will hear a drastic change in the sound of your guitar and how it sounds with the different strings. The same as going between plastic pins versus these tusk pins. You're going to hear a huge difference in sound. Okay? Some people claim, oh, I don't really hear that much, but yeah, there's some. I hear actually a lot more. It depends on how your hearing is and what frequency your ears can pick up, because we're not all built equal in that way. But I can certainly hear a huge difference just putting on the tusk pins, and then using the elixirs on the Martin. I was like, I really don't like spending $22 on a set of strings, because I don't mind doing it for the Taylor, because hey, you know, the Taylor sound, a lot of that sound is not just the guitar, it's these particular strings, just, you know? But when I tried them on there, I'm like, well, I guess I'll be funding $22 for both guitars each time I need strings. So I've been, you know, kind of stockpiling strings as I can afford to buy extra sets. But you don't have to change these very often either, which is really nice. But they are amazing strings, they are amazing guitars, both of them. Playability, they have their differences, of course, you know. But they're just amazing. So I can't say that one is actually better than the other, you know. And only being about $100 difference in price on the retail side of things, it's not much of a difference in price, but it could be the world of difference to you of what you like more. You know, some people only want 1 or 2 acoustics, other people want 50 or 100. I'm quite content with, you know, 2. I used to have a lot more, but I'm very content with the 2 of them because both of them have that sound I need and I'm after for not only the music I play in church or the stuff that I play to teach my students with, but even for my own stuff that I write. Both of these guitars are more than enough, you know, and really awesome. But like I said, the reason I didn't plug these things in to the amp is because there's no point, because they're not even in the same class of pickup sound, so the sound would be totally different between them either way. But it's the unplugged sound that I find is actually more important. Plugged in sound can always be altered by bass, mid, and treble controls and all that other jazz, and any effects you put on, and you know how you set things up with your gain and whatnot. But anyway, so there you go. So that's the Taylor 114 CE versus the Martin DRS1. So thanks for watching and hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll catch you on the next one. Ciao for now.